Next up on our Hall of Fame categories, we have Tag Team. The nominees: Road Warriors, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, The New Day. Again, the fans voting or nominating a current team. And Demolition, which is a team that has mainly been ignored by WWE in history. This one's really interesting because I think if I was going to personally pick a tag team, I might actually go with Demolition or the Road Warriors. Actually, I think I would go with the Road Warriors. I think my pick for this would be the Road Warriors, but again, I could see this being another really close race. What do you think, Jeff?
If it was the Jeff Meacham Hall of Fame, it would be a close knit ballot between the Road Warriors and the Dudley Boys for me, because those two teams are the two teams that I grew up watching. Those two teams are the two teams that I saw dominate the entire landscape of tag team wrestling. Yeah, then the Road Warriors did what nobody had done before. They won the three major world championships of three major companies.
Yeah.
And the Dudleys came along, whatever it was, 10 years later, and did it all over again, and then some. Because the Dudleys have been world champions more times than almost the Yankees have won World Series, and that's quite a bit. So if it's me, I originally picked Hawk and Animal for my choice, and I will forever rescind my claim that New Day does not rock, because they rock. But
it's too soon.
It's too soon for those guys. There's just no way. As far as Demolition goes, you have to understand something with Demolition. I know that you're a fan of Axe and Smash. You have been since you were a kid. But the reason they are the guys that New Day are chasing right now is because Vince wanted to have his Road Warriors have a long reign.
Yeah.
Had Hawk and Animal signed when Vince wanted them to sign, there'd be no Demolition to talk about today.
That's a very good point.
So, and if you look at their body of work as far as their actual in-ring work compared to the Road Warriors, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, especially, and the Hardys, and even the New Day now, if you look at sheer body of work other than length of a title reign, meh.
Well, that SummerSlam match with the Hart Foundation, 2 out of 3 falls, that was an excellent match. I mean,
but that was Smash and Crush because Axe was already on his way out. That was a different Demolition.
Well, it's all part of the same thing, Demolition, whatever. But Road Warriors, I think, had the historic career, and I think they should be the first induction into the NoDQ.com Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
They're looking over your shoulder, so I think so.
Absolutely. Moving on here for the NoDQ.com Hall of Fame Class of 2016, we have the Faction. This is a group of 3 or more people. The nominees: New World Order, NWO, D-Generation X, the Four Horsemen, the Bullet Club.
Oh, well.
Evolution.
I can't do their hand sign on the air. I'll get in trouble.
And the Shield. There you go. All right, so each group has their own little distinctive hand gesture.
That's right.
This is another really tough one. I mean, all these are tough to make one pick. I'll go ahead and start with you. What is your pick of these 6 nominations?
It's been said by every expert in wrestling, not just sports entertainment, but wrestling. Without the Four Horsemen, there would be no faction talk really in wrestling. The Horsemen were the first real gang type faction. You had the Heenan family in the AWA and in the WWF for a while, but the Horsemen were the first 4 elite guys that went together and said, if we consolidate our stuff, we can rule the roost. Any incarnation of the Horsemen, with the exception of a couple, have just been the dominant faction in Jim Crockett Promotions WCW. And, Flair said it himself in the Horseman DVD, had the Horseman been in the WWF, Hogan would have been in the opening match.
I don't know about that.
If Vince had the Horsemen when the Horsemen were hot, Hogan would have been competing a lot more difficultly. I can't even talk. It would be a lot more difficult for Hogan to compete with the Horsemen.
I think if the Horsemen were in the WWF at the time, I think they all would have been taking the big boot of doom. That's just my take on it.
that would have been the approach eventually. Hogan would have been the machine that the heels were fed to eventually. It would have happened. But for me, the Horsemen are the dominant faction. Yes, you had DX, who evolved from this 4 and then 3-person little conglomerate of friends into this big army, into this huge thing that was a platform for everybody to spring off of. You had the NWO, who was my personal favorite faction for obvious reasons. But the Horsemen changed the way that the wrestling business looked at factions.
Exactly.
So for me, it's like Tully always said, we're the symbol of excellence, always.
Yeah.
So it's 4, not 3. He did 3 for some reason, DVD. I don't know why. But there's another good faction that will not get the vote at all. Is the Triple Threat from ECW.
Yeah,
they were a good faction. They were great.
That's one of your honorable mentions.
Douglas and Bam Bam and Candido. Just a talent in that list right there. When I say those names, damn, people don't remember that.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think this is a race between the Horsemen and the NWO. I think it's got to be one of those two groups for sure. And you made some great points about the Horsemen. I would only go with the NWO over the Horsemen just because I think they made an overall bigger impact in terms of launching the Monday Night Wars and really getting that going, and what led to the Attitude Era and what really changed the game and made wrestling more popular than it ever was. As great as the Horsemen were, and they definitely set the bar and influenced the NWO and all the other factions. I mean, the NWO is, I think, the reason we're here doing this video today and what really got NoDQ.com going and all these other things happening because of the NWO. I mean, they made such a huge impact. I would give the slight edge to the NWO, but I think either group, NWO or Horsemen, I think have a solid shot of winning this, and both are very deserving of the spot.
We'll get an argument from me there.
All right.